You know, I had forgotten about the story about how Nikki got here. I presume that that Mike's talking about a really interesting story. I'm not going to tell it just now. I should, but I'm not going to. But what a special evening. I really want to congratulate all the Hall of Famers. Just spectacular. I particularly want to mention Vic. Vic, what a special message you gave. And, as he mentioned, he's been he's been our head starter the entire time that I've been here up until just now. And he's decided to, put the gun away and stop being a starter. And boy, what a fabulous starter, but a good friend. And I came here and was aware of Vic because I knew he'd been a good athlete. I've become more aware in the last few days reading through some of the things about Vic. What a spectacular athlete. And along with David, those guys had some legit upper level special running. But this is really special for me to be here with you, Vic, and I really appreciated your remarks. I want to mention that I am so impressed and proud of the coaches and the programs where these athletes, in this case tonight, it's Gene and it's Lambo and Herm Wilson and some spectacular programs. I want to mention, and I want to mention that this is a truly wonderful NCAA Division I institution. It's very special. And it means a tremendous amount. I want to mention briefly, we're talking about a really remarkable volleyball coach here. This is a remarkable person. He gets teased. He's a bit of a goofball, and there's no question that he has some unique personality quirks. We're talking about an upper level thinker and an upper level athletic guy, and so, these two fabulous players, and every year he's up here presenting some fabulous players. So I want to recognize Lambo that way. And I need to recognize Gene the same way. Gene was such a special mentor of mine when I came here, and he was always so kind to me and spoke to me about our program, and I just appreciate those guys a lot. So anyway, Nikki Larch-Miller, this is one of the truly special, upper-level athletes in the history of Shocker athletics, and one of the truly great all-time, track and field athletes ever, and indeed now is going to be counted forever in the Shocker Hall of Fame. This is a special evening for me. As her coach. For me as a coach, this young woman will forever be one of the very first that I'll think of if someone were to ask me, or if I were to think of most special athletes I've had the opportunity to work with. She'll be one of the very first. I am in my 35th year as an NCAA Division I coach, my 23rd year here at Wichita State. And without question, she'll be one of the first athletes that I will think of if someone were to ask me, so what athlete do you think of when you think of the most special athlete that you ever had the opportunity to work with? Why do I feel that way? Well, immediately upon Nikki's arrival in Wichita from San Diego as a freshman on our team, it just was evident that we were dealing with a really, really special young woman. Always happy-go-lucky, always upbeat, always positive about Wichita. Can you imagine? She came here from San Diego, and immediately upon arrival, it was like, Wichita's the greatest place in the world. This is awesome. And I was thinking, man, I can remember specifically thinking, man, I'm not going to say anything. But seriously, you came here from San Diego. I know that Wichita's a great place. I realize that, but son of a gun, you left a pretty special garden spot. So anyway, and she just seemed as happy, and so it was as if she'd landed at the greatest place in the world. So Nikki, you know good and well that is really wonderful when an athlete buys into what we're doing, and you did that better than anybody I've ever been around, and from the start, it made coaching you a really, really special experience and especially fun. Who do we ask to host recruits? Well, we asked Nikki. We asked Nikki to host recruits. Why? Because she was friendly and upbeat and personable and welcoming to those recruits and to their parents. And so when I'm telling you what a special person she was, these are the kind of things that I think of. And oh, by the way, she would tell us about recruits that she identified online. When she was a freshman in college, when she was a sophomore in college, hey, coach, athlete back at my hometown is running really good. You ought to get in touch with him. Oh, do you know him? Well, no, but I could figure it out. I could get in touch with the coach. I mean, she just was into it. And I consider that admirable, and I consider it special, and just awesome. And so that was a unique characteristic, and it was something that immediately I identified and figured out, man, this is a terrific young gal. Nikki dealt with her share of injuries, and like most track and field athletes, track and field, we have lots of injuries, and so there were certainly times that it was extremely frustrating, but even in the face of those struggles, she always maintained that positive spirit, that positive, upbeat attitude. And we always, if we're hosting a home track meet, if somebody's not able to compete, we ask them to come and help. And they always do a good job. Shocker, track athletes are good about it. They come and they rake the pit, but they're looking at their watch and trying to figure out when they can finish up. Not Nikki. I would look over, and Vic knows that I'm right about this. I'd look over, she'd have a clipboard in her hand, and she's clerking the races, and she's all day long out there bringing the athletes up to the line and making sure that the races are coming off, and treating the track meet as if she were personally responsible for whether or not the track meet happened. Well, that's a special person. That's a special person that treats things that way. The consummate team player. So all of these qualities that I've already mentioned are in addition to the fact that we're here talking about Nikki because she was a spectacular athlete. Her leadership qualities and all of those type of things. So how good was she? Why is she here for her athletic accomplishments? Well, she was special, I can tell you. She was not afraid to take on any event or any challenge for the team when we were pursuing team championships. If you notice up here on her poster, and Mike mentioned some of the stuff, but 21 all-conference performances. That means that she had a coach that just kept entering her in anything that she might be able to score in. She scored in jumping events, hurdling events, sprinting events, relay events, throwing events. She scored in the open javelin competition in the Missouri Valley Conference. So she could score in virtually anything. Now, she was a heptathlon athlete. That's what heptathlon athletes do. But it was truly remarkable how many different things she could score in, and most of the time win, oftentimes win. But all conference performances 21 times. To go through a 3-day championship competition and face the prelims and the finals and all those events, and the long jump and the javelin and all of that is super tough, super difficult at that level of intensity. And so she was the consummate team player, and she was ready for whatever came at her. And as a result, she led our team to a bunch of team championships, and it was really great. Well, okay, that's Missouri Valley Conference level competition that I'm talking about. What about at the national level? 3-time NCAA All-American, 1-time first team All-American. About 7 months ago, a girl ran the fastest 200 meters in heptathlon competition at the NCAA championships in history. The person she ran faster than was Nikki. Nikki had been, until 7 months ago, the fastest heptathlon athlete in history in the 200 meters. That includes people like Jackie Joyner-Kersee. It includes some extremely upper-level athletes, and she had the fastest 200 in the history of the NCAA heptathlon event, and that's a pretty cool deal. And you know, it's interesting because I was kind of trying to scout around and look at some of this stuff. She ran about 23.1 something in that 200. I noticed the other day that her freshman year in a Missouri Valley Championship in the 200, she ran 24.6. Good, real good, but not like 23.1. She got better. She improved. She trained hard. She brought it all the time, the way David was talking about Vic bringing it all the time. And that was super impressive. Never ran hurdles in high school, ended up the fastest hurdler in the history of the Missouri Valley Conference before she was finished. I love that photograph that's over there because I can tell you some specific technical details that I see in that picture that were the result of her working hard to learn how to hurdle correctly. And like her hand is right in front of her head. It's not across her face like this. Some really special stuff that she took to heart and learned how to do things correctly. And so all of this was the result of this friendly, well, I forgot to mention, she represented Team USA on multiple occasions in international competition, in postseason and as a post-collegian. And this was all as a result of this friendly, upbeat, happy-go-lucky young woman being a ferocious competitor. That's a quality that I'll always remember and I really, really admire about Nikki. A fabulous competitor, tough competitor. I need to mention her twin sister, Taylor. Man, if there was a picture that I would have rather seen than that one, it's some unbelievably cool pictures of them in the starting blocks together, lined up next to each other in championship competition. It was just a really dynamic and unique experience for all of us, for me, for our coaching staff, for the program, to have these twin sisters on our team. That's just a neat deal, and it was super fun. I have to mention her mom, Helen. We miss your enthusiastic presence at track meets. It was just awesome. It's truly not the same without you. It just isn't. I feel like I need to have her call out to Nikki one time. I don't know. because because that was at every track meet, and that was extremely subdued, I can tell you, because it was a massive announcement across the track about a half dozen times a track meet. So ultimately, after all of these observations about Nikki's leadership and her athleticism and her competitiveness and all of that, mostly I will always remember, as much as anything, that Nikki, it was just wonderful. It was great. I loved coaching Nikki Larch-Miller. So congratulations, Nikki, on your induction to the Shocker Athletics Hall of Fame. You're so deserving, and congratulations.
Okay, so since he wouldn't tell the story of how I ended up here, I will. A little inappropriate, so if you have kids, maybe head out the back. So for those of you who don't know, from San Diego, I had cousins who lived here in Wichita, and one of my cousins wanted to get a surgery done. And my mom worked in the legal field, and so she called my mom and was like, hey, can you call around to some attorneys around town and find a good plastic surgeon for me? My mom's like, yeah, sure. So she calls some surgeons or some attorneys in Wichita, gets to talking with this one guy, brings up my sister and I. He's like, hey, I know the head coach at Wichita State. And obviously, if you know Bolt knows, I think, every single person in Wichita and the surrounding area. They get to talking. He's like, here's his number. So my mom calls Bolt. We end up, obviously, at Wichita State, have a great career here. But thanks to my cousin's breast augmentation surgery, I ended up in Wichita, Kansas. So thank you, Beth. She couldn't be here. So it's kind of ironic standing up here. Very interesting, because what people didn't say was, like, I really sucked at track in high school. Like, I was terrible, you guys. I hated it. I almost quit like 5 times. My mom's like, no, get back out there. You have a team. You can't let them down. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna do this. So my twin sister, started being recruited. I'm like, okay, I'll just go along with Taylor and run with her in college. But I really, truly hated it. So got here, told Bolt, if you know Bolt at all, he loves the multi-events, the heptathlon, decathlon, and he'll recruit anybody to do it. He's like, you know what, if you've thrown a football in your life, come do the heptathlon. You'll be good at it. I'm like, okay. Well, I told him I wanted to do the heptathlon, and he was like, okay, we could try it out. I'm kind of small for a heptathlete. They're usually kind of taller, a little bit more events that they did in high school, whatever it was. So he was hesitant on it, but obviously, it ended up working out. So I'm thankful that he let me have the opportunity to do the multis. It's kind of funny too. So, like I said, it ended up working out, had a few All-Americans and everything. And after my first All-American status, I got back to Wichita. It was really cool being interviewed by people, and they did an interview with Bolt so that Paul could write this article. And in the article, they were asking Bolt questions and stuff. And he was like, yeah, we wanted Taylor bad enough. We were willing to take Nikki. I was like, thanks, coach. Appreciate it. With that being said, I do need to thank my sister. I know a lot of people have brought her up tonight. I would not be here without her. She is the reason that I have this opportunity. She's in Mexico right now. I told her she could go. Trust me, she'd be here if I told her to come. But she's in Mexico on the beach having fun. But I would not be here without her, and I have to thank her. I had really good work ethic with track in college. She had really good work ethic in partying. So that was the difference between us. Love her though, great athlete still, had a ton of success as well. Two favorite memories that I have, one is about Bolt. So it was probably my third year in college, we're out at practice, if you're a multi, we have 4 or 5 hour long practices, they're really long. So we're in the middle of a high jump session, I'm kind of trying to roll through it, did a jump, I walk back over to Bolt, I'm sitting there talking to him like, so what'd you think about the jump, and trying to get his critique on it and everything, and he's like, how long do you think it would take someone to count out loud to 1 million? I was like, what? I don't know. We sat there for another 15 minutes looking up videos, and there's a dude who took 3 months to count out loud to 1 million. So that's why our practices ended up being 4 to 5 hour long. They could have been about 2 to 3, but if you know Bolt. My second favorite memory during track was when our 4x1 qualified for nationals. If any of you know her, her name's Deja Young. She had a shoulder issue that she was born with, and there was a lot of coaches that started recruiting her to college, and they stopped recruiting her because they found out that it was going to be a lot of issues with her shoulder. She was going to take a lot of PT. It was going to be a challenge to have her on the team. And Wichita State never hesitated. They saw talent in her. They saw that she was a fantastic human being, and she proved that when she got here right away her freshman year. She was absolutely amazing. I loved being her teammate, and she was incredibly talented. And so our 4x1 at the national meet, or the regional meet, we went in ranked 24th, and top 12 go to nationals. So Bolt, his typical, all right, kids, you got this. Let's just step up to the line and give it all you got. We're like, okay, sounds good. So our 4x1 ended up qualifying for nationals, and I will never forget that memory. Deja's probably going to hate me for sharing this about her, but she walked off the track literally flipping off the stands to all the coaches who stopped recruiting her. I was like, you get them, Deja. So that was a great memory. I'll never forget it. On a little bit more of a serious note, Bolt has literally single-handedly changed my life. He became a second father to me in college. We became very close, as you could tell by the remarks that he made about me. We still talk every single week. Usually it's about an hour-long phone call, because neither of us shut up, we just keep talking. But we're incredibly close, and I would not be the person that I am today without him. I was a coach for several years in the collegiate world, and that was all thanks to him. All the lessons that he taught me, everything that I learned here. His networking, he always told me, you got to go out and network and talk to all the coaches. Everything that I learned from him has just been incredibly special to me, and I will always value and cherish the relationship that I have with him because he's just an incredible human being. So my 4th year of college, as he was saying, I was injured, so it was really disappointing. I came off of a really good 3rd year, it was exciting, and then I had an Achilles injury my 4th year. And we didn't know if it was gonna set me out or not. It was kind of like a week-to-week thing. We're just gonna, keep on trucking along each week, try and get back on the track. Okay, then I'd take 2 weeks off, and then I'd get back on the track for a week, and then it'd be another month out. And every single week, Bolt would come up to me, and he's like, kid, you're gonna get back. You got this, kid. Just stay positive, stay positive. It's gonna be a blessing in disguise. And there was a lot of lessons that I learned through that year of not being able to be on the track. It really made me appreciate and value the things that athletics brought to me besides just the athletic success. It made me value the teammates that I had, the coaches that I had. Coach Y is here. Poor guy had to put up with my sister for 5 years. I don't know how he did it. Patience is way up here. Level of patience I probably will never have unless I have kids, hopefully. We'll see. So lots of very good things that came from the university. I love this place. Like Bolt said, grew up in San Diego, loved it. It's the Sunshine State. Well, I think that's Florida, but it's close second. Not as much humidity. Anyway, Wichita became my second home, and I will always cherish this place. I love it so much. So last thing, those of you who don't know Bolt, he gives weekly talks to his athletes. I will never forget them about how you can't drink, don't drink in season, don't party, don't go do that. Always, you guys, literally always. In one ear and out the other. If you're in college, you want to have fun. So to that, I have to cheers everybody, because now I can finally drink with him. So cheers to Bolt.